The key regions for direct selling and the regions that have been grown most over the last 5 years are Latin America and Eastern Europe. Within Latin America, Brazil is the key market with 27% of all beauty and personal care sales through direct selling. And in Eastern Europe, it's Russia. In 2010, 20% of beauty sales went through direct selling. Asia Pacific is also a very big market for direct sellers, although it hasn't been growing that well over the last 5 years. Actually, it has been on the decline. And the reason for that was the weaker performance in the Japanese market, which has been a difficult environment for direct sellers. Actually, Avon disposed of its Japanese operations in 2011, as the company expects difficulties for the Japanese market to continue to be a difficult environment in the mid to short term. On the other hand, we expect that Asia Pacific is still holds great potential for direct sellers in the longer term, as markets such as China, Thailand, Philippines are growing very rapidly in terms of direct selling. So in the longer term, we expect Asia Pacific to remain attractive market for direct sellers. Avon is the biggest direct seller, both within the beauty industry and overall within the direct selling, and it has been in comparison to the rest of beauty companies, it's ranked 5th. It's just slightly smaller than Unilever, Procter & Gamble, and L'Oreal, and it's actually a little bit bigger than companies such as Beiersdorf and Estée Lauder. So it's a key player in the beauty industry. In 2010, it generated 5% growth in terms of sales, slightly slower compared to its performance in 2009, when it grew with 6% in constant currency terms. And the slowdown is due to a weaker performance of the company in the second half of 2010 in Brazil and in Russia. And as we saw, these are key markets for direct selling. The company says that the reason for the slow performance were executional difficulties, and they're working to resolve them in 2011. The second biggest direct seller in the beauty industry is Natura, and in contrast to the mature 5% growth that Avon recorded, Natura actually achieved over 20% growth in 2010. It has been growing really strongly, and it has continuing a trend from the previous years. In 2009, it grew with 19% on the back of a very strong growth in the Brazilian market. In fact, more than 90% of Natura's sales are coming from the Brazilian market. And in this respect, it would be interesting to see if Natura would be able to transform into a regional player, which at the moment it's trying to do so. We'll be waiting to see if it manages to apply the successful model that it has developed in Brazil into the neighboring countries. The last company I wanted to briefly talk about today is Oriflame. It is the smallest of the three, and similarly to Avon, it has a wide geographical spread. Similarly to Natura, it has been growing quite strongly. In 2010, it recorded 15% growth in euro terms. In contrast to both Natura and Avon, Oriflame is very strong in Europe, and particularly Eastern Europe, where it generates majority of its sales. Actually, the biggest market for Oriflame is Russia, where it is competing head-to-head with Avon for the third position in the beauty market. Oriflame is generating its growth in 2010 due to rapid performance in its Latin American markets and in Asian Pacific markets. Actually in some less mature beauty markets such as Kazakhstan, the company has much higher penetration in the overall market compared to some of its leading markets like Russia, for example. Within developing markets, consumers are more receptive to the direct selling model, and the retail infrastructure is less developed, so direct sellers generally have a big competitive advantage. Although saying that, in some developed markets like the US, direct selling is still a key channel for beauty products. For example, direct selling generated almost 9% in 2010 of all beauty sales, compared to beauty retail specialists, which generated only 6%. So it still holds quite significant chunk. Overall, in the next 5 years, we expect markets such as Brazil, Mexico, and China to be among the fastest growing direct selling markets overall, and to generate the biggest amount of incremental sales. And in this respect, traditional companies competing with the direct sellers would find it increasing still quite challenging, as direct sellers would be taking advantage of the growing opportunities in emerging markets. As we've seen already, developing markets are driving company results in 2010. And within the emerging markets, direct sellers and direct selling is a key, both key channel, and direct sellers are key players. In some cases, direct sellers are actually doing better than traditional FMCG companies. And overall, direct selling as a channel is growing faster than the overall beauty and personal care industry.